was gonna sing that one Smash Mouth song, All Star, their smash hit, All Star.
I'm trying to think of
And then I couldn't
was
remember the fucking words.
who did Broke Into the Old Apartment? Was that Smash Mouth or Bare
Bare
Naked Ladies?
that's BNL. My
Okay.
Bare Naked Ladies. Broke into the old apartment.
This is where we used to live.
I remember I remember we used to meme that James would
Yeah.
live that
After
song.
he moved out of his apartment, like he would just like broke into the old
The old
apartment, and he would sing
apartment.
it as he would be breaking into his old apartment while there's a family and stuff there. And they're like, "What are you doing here? Shut up! Shut up! Let me have this! Shut up!"
We, we talk some heat about our friends on this show. We
It's
drop
okay.
the
James and Tyler
facts.
are technically relevant to the show because James guest starred in an episode and Tyler did the My Hero thing we dropped.
That's true. You know the people we meme about.
Even though
You
no
know
one
them.
probably saw that.
No, but
You
whatever.
can go back. I don't remember which one he guest starred in, but he did. He
I
was
don't
in one
remember
episode.
either.
Yeah, you weren't there for that one because he basically took
That's
your
why.
place that week. But yeah,
That's why he was there. 'Cause I wasn't.
I think that had to be like our second like season.
Yeah, probably.
Because I remember I was telling him about The Promised Neverland, and he thought that sounded neat. But of course, he was never gonna actually watch it because he can't commit to doing things.
And yeah, that's why we don't recommend anime to our friends that much anymore. 'Cause no one
Even
ever watches it.
yeah, our friend Tyler constantly goes, "I want a show about girls and tanks. Is that a thing?" And we're like, "Ho ho ho, buddy! There's a specific thing all about that." And then he just doesn't actually watch it.
It's called Girls und Panzer for anyone
Yeah,
who's curious.
yeah, literally girls and tanks.
Uh, then there was one day he just randomly like sent a Kakegurui gif
Yeah, and he's like,
to the
what series is this?" And then we told him, and then he was like, "Okay," and then doesn't watch it, and it's like, what is your
why?
end game, man?
Like, why even bother asking?
What's the plan here?
What's the plan?
Come on, what's the
What are your
plan here?
plans?
Explain.
Tell
What
us your plans.
what do you mean by that?
That's what everything always devolves down to. It always devolves into us doing the snake voice because we don't understand someone. I just don't get it.
I don't get it.
Card keys.
Card keys.
The DARPA chief?
Yeah, we're just gonna do that a lot.
Yeah, that's accepted memes.
But yeah, this is the Protagonist seat. This is a otaku culture related podcast where me, Alex, and Ian, that's him,
Yo,
we just talk about various just weeb shit.
we just talk about shit. Just talk about it all the time. And
Talking about shit.
make a lot of references and go on a lot of tangents about things that aren't necessarily related to those. Just
Yeah.
because fuck it, why not?
And we normally do this in person, but we've been doing this remotely for this entire new season that we've started because yeah,
Quarantine.
yeah, because quarantine. Even though that looks like that's ending, this is world's in a weird place right now.
Quarantino. Ah, shit. God damn it, I forgot his name. Holy shit.
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. Quarantine, COVID Tino.
But yeah, what we were thinking of talking about today, just visual novels.
Have you guys ever read a novel and been like, hey, I know that the fun part about reading a book is the movie in my mind, that
Yeah,
little movie that plays in my mind.
but have you just ever felt like, man, either my imagination is shit or I've already fucked up my brain too much at this point. I need pictures and sound.
I shouldn't have eaten that 6.5 pound bag of hallucinogenic mushrooms.
Yeah.
Now I can't read books. Visual novels are here to save the day, hombre.
Yeah. And you get a wide variety of genres. Almost all of them have some sort of dating sim element, but
And
you got
almost
other
all of them are
genres.
porn.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. But
Porn
lately,
in
there's been a
space.
lot more all ages versions, if you're into that sort of thing.
I suspect the rise in that is probably related to the rise of otaku culture popularity as a whole.
Yeah.
You know,
So you need
marketing
like
that to more people.
yeah.
It's all about marketing and branding.
Because if you just look at even a couple of, well, at this point, like 2 decades ago, like series that are super popular, like Fate Stay Night, for example, started out as porn. Now they got rid of that.
Yeah, the Fate franchise actually well, they didn't lose their Rule 34, but they pushed it off to the side.
Yep.
They
So now
wanted to
everyone
do
else
some
has
plot
stepped
stuff.
up in doing that. Because, like,
Well,
man, the amount that exists.
well, if they're not going to make the porn for me, I guess I just got to make it myself. Because that's true ingenuity right there.
If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself.
Loads up MS
Gets the
Paint.
gets the Infinity Gauntlet on before you do MS Paint.
Oh my God. Man, they missed out on a lot of stuff with that Infinity Gauntlet. They just wasted it. Think of all the Rule 34 you could just instantly create with an
Just
Infinity
snap into
Gauntlet.
existence.
You could snap into existence anything you wanted, and you're like, I guess I'll just, destroy it, just destroy half of everything. That's not it, man.
Yeah, it's not a good
Just
idea.
make more.
Thanos is dumb.
Thanos is kind of dumb. He could just make more, but instead of making more, he made less. And
Just doesn't make sense.
in the end, we were called upon, the Porn Vengers were called upon once more to create more Rule 34 for Thanos and them purple cheeks.
But basically, going back to VNs, I think
Oh yeah,
VNs are neat. I was explaining this to Ian earlier, but I have a thing for background art. I don't know, something about visual novel background art. I want to like just collect it, frame it, put it up on a wall. Sometimes it's just like you
it's
just want to live in that frame. It's like wanting to live in a painting. It's like I want to live in VN background art.
it's one of those things where like the format of a visual novel is perfect for creating just these beautiful snapshots because you don't have to have people walk around them.
Yeah,
You
you
don't
don't need
gotta
people
like,
in usually in the background. You just have, hey, this is the scene that is set. Here is a city street, but there's no one on it. We'll add the sound effect of people walking.
but we don't need the actual people. Hey, let's have a pleasant cafe scene. It's just nice and cozy, comfy.
Yeah, I prefer to where they don't have like the people in the background or anything. Because then you can just
Yeah,
take that and you're like, hey, there's a desktop wallpaper right there.
and the last thing anyone wants in their desktop wallpaper is other people,
Hmm.
which
They're
I'm not
looking at you.
entirely memeing about. Because, like, man, I hate when people are in my background art.
And I actually, you have never really played a full VN, right? Like a full true VN, not like where a game has like some sort of like VN mode esque thing.
I have not. So I'm a real expert on this.
Yeah.
Although soon I'm going to have to be.
Yeah, because we're gonna do Ian plays Arrowgay, where Ian is gonna play just some real raunchy shit.
I'm going to have to play some just. It's probably going to be pretty unpleasant, but I'm going to do it.
It's only unpleasant if you make it unpleasant.
That's true.
But there are some really good visual novels that you should play. Specifically, almost anything by Key is usually well regarded. Like,
I
one of
know.
my favorites is Rewrite, which is a really cool one that feels like it deviates a lot from their regular formula because it almost has sort of some shonen-esque action parts of it, which is uncommon for a lot of Key's work.
Hmm. It's always nice to see a good brand that you like branch out into other stuff
Yeah.
because that's how they expand their repertoire, and you never know, some of that might carry over into other stuff and make it better. You
Uh,
venture into new stuff to make the old stuff good.
you have never read Fate Stay Night, even though we talk
Nope,
about Fate all the time, but you should.
I should.
You should.
I should.
Um, Higurashi is good. Umineko I didn't like as much.
Higurashi is one that I still need to watch because I did buy it when Sentai Filmworks was like, "Hey, fuck it, we're just gonna put like everything on for $5. Just
Yeah,
buy it, whatever."
they did another sale recently and I bought it after I'm like, you know what? I need to get that as well as something else that I bought.
I'm still working through my catalog of stuff I bought from that sale.
So then the nice thing about like getting paid a little more during quarantine where it's like where you're having to do the whole essential worker thing, it's like, hey, I got a lot more money now to just buy shit.
Yeah, I can splurge. I can treat myself to some delectable
Come
anime.
on, treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Guys, Parks and Rec is an amazing anime. Just wonderful.
Never watched it.
Honestly, like it's all right. It gets kind of heartwarming at points, and that's kind of nice. But it's pretty funny. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about some visual novels and some recommendations and
I
some
have been
formats.
playing Under Night and Birth with some friends, and the story mode on there is basically a visual novel. There's no fights in it. You just play through just a big visual novel. It's like separate from the main game. You can skip it if you want to and just do the fighting stuff, but or you can just, enjoy it. You can play it.
Does Because I know one thing with a bunch of visual novels is like it's the choose your own adventure type thing. Does that affect anything in the fighting game aspect?
Actually, I don't think that one has really choices that come up with. Again, I haven't really played it because I've just been playing the fighting game part. I just know it's there, and I
Right.
played like maybe 5 minutes of it. But yeah, I don't think that one really has choices. I think you're just basically watching a slideshow with
That
like
would make
text.
sense.
Because there's so many characters in it, so you're not really following one person's perspective.
Oh, that would also make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because in most traditional visual novels, it's like, hey, you are this character, or that's at least the focus character, so they make all the choices. But in that, I think it's just, hey, it's a fighting game. There's multiple characters, different perspectives. You just get little vignettes of each.
Hmm. I, you know, this is gonna sound a little weird to, but I kind of like fighting games with a story. I
I
think
do
that's
too.
one thing that weeb games can really get right.
I've always enjoyed it, and I know it's considered extra content, but I feel like it's important.
Framing devices and storytelling can always make for a more enriching experience, no matter what genre of or anything you're doing. Like a good story makes for a better experience,
Like
and
I'm
a
not
bad
saying it has to
story,
be like full on like Mortal Kombat where they basically make a movie with it, but you know, like that's why I always got disappointed when playing Soul Calibur because generally there's not really a story there. It's just like a little bit of text before the fight.
yeah.
I'm like, give me more.
Yoshimitsu wandered the desert for 7 years, and then because a fight needed to happen, bandits came out of nowhere. Actually, that reminds me of a kind of funny observation I had while watching the Mortal Kombat movie the other day. So, like, the movie does have a story, but large parts of the movie are just contextless. These characters are in this area and then they fight. Like, the whole fight scene between Johnny Cage and Scorpion, it just cuts to Johnny Cage walking through an orchard for no reason, and then Scorpion shows up. It is literally like watching the game. Because,
Just
like,
going into like just the intro.
yeah,
You know, they
just
just
all
walk
of
in. It's just like, hey, you look pretty tough. Your time has come.
why is Johnny Cage in this weird random orchard? So that he can have a fight with Scorpion, who is also in this orchard for no reason
Yeah,
but to
because
have a fight.
it's a fighting game. So if two people come across each other, they have to fight.
It's like the freaking locking eyes in Pokemon.
Undernight at
We
least
locked
has like a
eyes.
sensible reason why everyone's fighting each other. It's like this one specific night where everything happens on. Like people get turned into imbirths, which are like monsters. So
Shit.
yeah. Um,
I will give Mortal Kombat credit. Fighting for the safety of Earthrealm, that's kind of important.
and usually it's done through a tournament.
Yeah,
We
because
have we have
fuck
a
it.
tournament to decide the fate of the Earth realm.
Because fuck it.
Fuck
We
it,
have
dude.
Christopher Lambert here
The
in a
Persona 4 fighting game actually did a pretty good job. Like it had basically a visual novel story mode where you actually got to, I think, select choices. They were meaningless. All they did was like change the dialogue, but it kind of had that. And they
hmm.
had the reason for everyone fighting each other was you've played Persona 4, right?
No, actually.
Oh, well, in that one, the whole thing instead of like I know you played 5. You know in 5 they go into palaces and stuff and like that's a separate world.
Yeah.
And 4 they go into the TV world. And the TV world is where all the shit happens with like shadows and all that. Essentially, everyone gets pulled into the TV world again in Persona 4 Arena, and the whole thing there, and the reason everyone who is all these super best friends are fighting each other, is because the place they're in, it's almost like it creates it warps their perception. So when they see each other, they don't actually hear what the other person is saying. They hear like a distorted version of like the other one trying to goad them into a fight.
Damn.
So then, and then after they fight, they're like, "Hey, why'd you say all that mean stuff to me?" And it's like, "I didn't." Oh,
Oops.
and then
I do.
they added in the sequel, just so they didn't do that whole gimmick again of just misunderstandings the game. They added shadow versions of the main characters, so they just fight like evil versions of each other.
I remember we used to play the Persona 4 fighting game. I forget which one,
We
but we used to
played
play.
Ultimax, the sequel one, which had more characters in it.
Yeah, and
Like
that was a
Sho
lot of fun.
Minazuki, who only showed up for that fighting game and wasn't that great of a character.
I mean, if you're gonna invent a character specifically for a fighting game based on a series that already has like
A
established
conclusion.
characters, they're probably not gonna be very good.
They added some of the Persona 3 characters into that though, which was pretty cool. And they actually had
Hmm,
like story reason for them showing up,
I can get down with that.
which is why I'm like, hey, when's Persona 5 Arena?
Ooh,
When we get Yu Narukami fighting Joker?
I could get. See, that seems like fun. That seems like that would make for some fun content.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a pretty fun fighting game too, because you know Arc System Works usually does a fairly decent job with that stuff.
I remember having a really good time when we used to play.
Yeah,
But who knows? Who knows if we are ever going to get a Persona 5 fighting game?
I think they're pretty much focused. They're doing a lot of projects right now. They're
They
doing a new
are.
Guilty Gear. They're still working on BlazBlue Cross Tag, which is like
Okay.
several franchises all shoved into that. That has
That's Chaos.
BlazBlue, Persona 4, Under Night characters are in it, even though that's by French Bread, which is a separate studio, and Ruby for some reason. I don't know who requested that.
I feel like
They're the only ones that they didn't even
Ruby.
have a fighting game franchise. It's just they ended up there somehow.
I feel like Ruby is like it's gonna be that franchise where it's just gonna be in everything now because it's wicked popular.
Which is weird because I talk to anybody who likes it and they're like, yeah, like 2/3 of it are pretty terrible,
I
but
don't
that
get it.
last third's pretty good. And I'm like, if most of it's bad, why do you bother?
People do that shit all the time though. People will be like, yeah, the series, like the first three quarters of the series is pretty bad, but like once you get to that
Yeah,
end,
a
that
little
last
bit.
arc.
Well, I can get like the early parts being bad, but that's the thing with Ruby. They're like, hey, the beginning's pretty good, then the part after that's pretty terrible. Then there's an okay part in between there. Then the rest of it's bad until just recently where it got good again.
I don't get it. Cause
Yeah,
like I did watch Ruby for a while, and I got to the part where it was terrible, and I was like, I'm good. I am all set.
yeah, I don't get
I
it.
don't
They
know.
just, I don't. They somehow snuck in there, and now they're a part of the one. Now they're up there with like the most popular fighting game franchises. So good on them for sneaking in there.
I feel like the character design just really lends itself to fighting games, cause
It
like,
does. They all have very unique designs.
yeah, and everyone has their special like abilities, and I can understand it even if I don't think it's like a great decision. But
No, yeah,
whatever,
I
fuck it.
get
It's
it.
not my decision.
I'm not against them being there. It's just more like left field.
Yeah, it's weird.
As there's a lot of other franchises I could think of that I'm like, hey, that should get a fighting game franchise. Like Symphogear.
I
You want
could
to
see
talk about
that.
everyone having their own special like abilities and unique designs? That's like they're all color coded. They're all color coded. It's perfect.
We should get a I don't know, get someone on it. We'll call them up, we'll write them a letter. We'll be like, "Hey man, Simple Gear could work for a fighting game. That'd be pretty cool, right?" Then they'll be like, "Yeah, sure, dude." And then they'll just like cook it up.
Yeah, cook up Symphogear, you know?
I wish it was easier to get the rights for properties to do fun things with.
Part of
Just
me
like cook up
wants to
something
kind of
cool.
play cross tag because I'm like, hey, I would play all the Persona characters and the Under Night characters.
And I would play all the Ruby characters.
And I'd be
Not
like,
really.
you don't have to do that.
There's plenty of other better characters.
They're
And
even
I'd be
adding
like, nope,
third party or more third party franchises into it too. Like,
really?
yeah, they added Akatsuki from he's in Under Night, but he's not from Under Night. He's from some other fighting game franchise that I forget the name of and I don't want to try to pronounce. It's German-esque sounding.
Oh,
They added him in a tank from that franchise. And then they added some girl from some fighting game franchise that I forget. It's Heart something. Again, I don't know because I haven't played BlazBlue Cross Tag nor the fighting game franchises that these people came from. I just know Akatsuki because he's from he is in Under Night. He's not from it.
hmm. Well, you know what? I say good on them for putting more third party stuff in there.
Oh, they added a character from Senran and Kagura too.
Who?
The I forget her name, but I think her name's Yumi.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure I know who you're talking about.
that's the franchise where um all I know is about it is that you're ninja girls and then everyone tries to censor their games and everyone gets mad about that.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's
That's the
that's the
franchise
gist
in a
of it.
nutshell. That's Senran in a nutshell.
That's all you need to know. People want to censor those those sweet, sweet ninjas.
They want to censor ninja boobies, and like, come on, man, that's their selling point.
That's the whole reason anyone plays a Senran Kagura game.
But yeah, they added one of their characters in, so yeah, like a lot of new extra characters getting put into it.
I like crossover stuff. Crossover stuff is cool.
And the whole game is just a crossover, but it's under like the BlazBlue moniker. Even though I'm like, I don't even like BlazBlue that much. I played Continuum Shift, but that's about it.
I don't know if anyone really likes BlazBlue that much, or if they're just like, hey, this game has a shitload of characters I actually like. Like, I think it's a franchise where the other properties bring in people more than like the property itself.
I feel like with BlazBlue, you were either in or you just were like it's had so many games that it has its established fan base. I mean, there are characters in it I like. Like, I actually think Ragna is a pretty okay protagonist. That's also a series that had a decent, well, I don't know about decent, but it had a story mode.
That's rare.
Yeah,
Having a
it had a
good
story mode and
protagonist.
side story modes, like different like individual character stories.
All right, I can get down with that.
It even had
That
extra
adds
ones because I had it on my Vita and it was fun to play because I'm like, oh hey, it's got like little extra stories of like all the girls accidentally drank a love potion or something and everyone's after Ragna.
I dig that.
Like funny like little small stuff like that.
Having a sense of humor with your media properties is really important.
No, yeah, it seems like a good franchise. It's like I just had no one to play with.
Yeah,
I
that's the
like
hard part.
Hazama was always fun to play as. Um, I liked playing as Jin, even though I don't like Jin's character, because he was the ice rapier guy, and I thought that was a fun play style. But his character is brother.
Oh no.
I'm coming, brother. Where are you,
Oh,
brother?
oh no.
Yeah, he's that character.
Oh,
Which is weird because he's like insane. Because when he's with his military people, he's just, I'm the very serious military guy. Listen to my orders and get away from me. And then as soon as his brother shows up, brother?
that's kind of bonkers, and I kind of hate that.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of other more interesting characters than him.
And as long as he plays fun, I guess, you can
Yeah.
just like skip over everything else.
Hmm.
Don't try to shove your story down my throat, fighting games.
I also do like how the cross tag has special lines for certain character matchups. Like it's like, oh, these two people have like a special line of dialogue when paired together. It's like sticking like I don't know Ruby and Yosuke together will give you something.
Hmm. That's something I've always really enjoyed. That's one thing that I will give Western fighting games credit. They do that shit all the time.
Yeah,
Like
Injustice had some pretty good ones.
Injustice, the newest Mortal Kombat has some good ones. Um, I think even MK10 had some good ones too.
I bought the latest Soul Calibur, and I have a bunch of fighting games now that when this quarantine ends, we're all going to James's, and I'm making everyone play fighting games. We're doing Fight Night in
Just a
person.
whole big fight night.
Yeah, I'm bringing Under Night. I'm gonna bring Soul Calibur, and I'm gonna bring even the Grand Blue game.
That, you know what? That sounds like it would be a lot of fun. Just get ready for Devin to fucking pick Astaroth in Soul
Devin,
Calibur.
Devin's not gonna show up,
Yeah, he probably won't show up.
and everyone will be like, "Hey, what if we play Smash instead?" And I'm like, "No, we always play Smash. Let's play some other fighting games. Let's play some real fighting games because Smash is basically a party game."
And then I would also back you up on that.
And then
Because
we're
you know
like,
what? Played enough.
and it's like, "Hey, it's two against probably more than two, but we have more clout than you guys."
It's the two people who have the biggest influence in the group decided that we're going to play weeb games.
Yeah, we're gonna force weeb games on everybody.
We're going to force our Japanime weeb games
Speaking
down
of
your throat.
non-weeb games, I I haven't played the latest Mortal Kombat.
I have not either, but I like watching videos about it because it
And
seems fun.
the nice thing about Mortal Kombat is certain characters have not changed playstyles since they were invented, which is why I love Mortal Kombat because I main Sub-Zero, so I can just pick up any Mortal Kombat and play Sub-Zero perfectly fine. There's very slight variations to like every single version of him, but for the most part, his core gameplay the same.
Yeah, they nailed the formula with a lot of the core characters. Like if there's Ermac, I can pick up Ermac and play him. Easy. GG easy, no problem.
Yeah, that's why the learning curve, it's like always, oh, it's a new Mortal Kombat. Well, I'm just gonna play Sub-Zero. Boom, there we go. I'm fine.
And then you just win because everyone else has to figure out these weird ass characters.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm playing one of the new guys. What does this combo do? And I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna ice slide and then do the fatality where I take your head and spine off.
And then I'm like, hey, I know I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna play Jason or RoboCop.
It's amazing looking at how bad we were at like fighting games in the past. When I remember when we used to play Mortal Kombat 9, I would play as Sonya Blade and I would just do the non-stop like the cartwheel kick and no one
Oh,
no one could figure out standing block or how to block an overhead.
I remember that.
It's like, "Oh no, what do we do? He's doing this one move repeatedly and I can't do anything about it."
We were so bad.
Yeah, and it's like, "Dude, just stand block."
And we don't like that's a game where there's a block button. You don't have to like move back to
I actually
block.
and you know what's funny? I personally prefer holding back to block than a block button.
Me too, strangely enough.
I actually think a block button is worse just because you have to actually put your thumb on that where you could be like just prepping, a counterattack.
It's easier to do reflexively, I think.
Yeah.
To just like bam back. Your
Yeah.
thumb is already there or it should be there if it's not,
Yeah,
you
and
weirdo.
usually you're moving away from them anyway if they're attacking you, so it works out perfectly.
Back to block master race.
Yeah. Imagine if Mortal Kombat has switched to back block.
I'd be cool with that. I think I can't say for certain, but I think the new one has both, maybe. Maybe,
Marvel
but
vs.
I don't
Capcom
know.
was back to block, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
was the
I
game.
think every Japanese one is back to block.
Oh, definitely. I think Marvel vs. Capcom is really the one that like taught me back to block because I was like, what the, what, huh, huh? How do I know when I'm blocking?
You know, our group is bad at fighting games when generally the strat is like I'll pick a character with an annoying spammable move and everyone flounders on it for like hours until one person figures the workaround. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, now I'll just switch it up and do two different things and then boom, resets everything. It's like, okay, now we gotta like go back to zero where everyone's losing again. It's not even like
we're not
hard.
very good.
It's not even hard.
We are not very good.
I think I play
But
them the most, so I'm usually like the best at adapting.
yeah,
Because reads are kind
um,
of my thing.
yeah,
Fighting games are
I've
weird because
never
you almost have to know what the other person is doing more so than you even know what you're doing.
right.
Which is why
You gotta be able to look for the tells in their character.
that's why fighting games are the only genre of video games where you can like a new person could actually fuck up a pro just because there's a point where not like it's weird fighting someone who doesn't know what they're doing because you actually don't know what they're doing, so you can't like really read them.
You can't read that which has no thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Where that will never happen in like a shooter. You'll never see someone who has just started playing a shooter beat someone who's been playing forever. Where
Definitely.
yeah, but in a fighting game, it's like, what is this guy doing? What is he gonna do next? I have no idea. He has no idea how to use his moves. Therefore, I have no idea what he's gonna do.
Mash buttons and pray.
Granted that they don't really fuck up a pro forever. It's just like you can get a surprise on them where they just don't know how to deal with you.
Imagine like someone uses that strat to win a fighting game competition where like at the very last round they swap characters and they're like, I have no idea what this character does, but I'm gonna fuck you up with him.
Mm-hmm. I guess that works less on games with smaller rosters, just because you probably know every character pretty well.
Yeah,
But like
but
ones
in
with huge
something,
rosters, like the Dragon Ball one that came out recently, has a ton of characters.
fuck yeah, dude.
I
Just
haven't played
hop
that one.
into.
Actually,
I
I
haven't.
did play. We played at that bar in Boston.
Oh yeah, that's right. Versus, I think. I think that one was Versus.
There's Versus, and then there was one that wasn't. Yeah, it was Versus, I think.
I forget what the one in Salem was called. That one was fun too. Bit Bar. Never mind.
Yeah, Bitbar was the more old school arcade one, where Versus felt more like new.
Yeah, it was hip. It was hip and new.
It was
And I
hip. The
met
kids were happening.
I drank some beers that were the most generic beer flavor, and I chatted up a chick from Luxembourg, and she
And you
was pretty
never
cool.
saw her again.
Nope, because that is also the time I hard learned that you can't just like text someone from another country. Turns out that shit just doesn't really work all that well. Oh well.
Oh well. But yeah, that's the sad thing about this whole quarantine. Can't go to bars and play video games because you can't pass around the controller because germs.
COVID's on it. The COVID rollers.
COVID roller.
All my friends know the COVID roller.
But yeah, when fighting game or when COVID ends, that's the fighting game period. Get ready. It's
It's
all
gonna
about
be the
fighting games when COVID
resurgence.
ends. We're gonna go play fighting games at bars. We're gonna go play them at our friends' houses. That's all we're gonna be doing. Fighting games.
And then we're gonna be in the next Evo and we're gonna win.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Evo next year. Just you wait.
We're gonna beat the furry dude and we're gonna beat the Japanese guys and we're gonna beat that one white kid.
We're gonna win at Evo. That's us. Oh boy.
I actually don't know any pro fighting game players.
I don't either. Besides like a few Smash ones that are memes. Because it's
Yeah,
Smash.
like
U2 King.
yeah, that's what it was, Mewtwo King. I forgot about that dude. Shit.
But yeah, I think we're done for the day.
We're gonna
Ranted
pack it
about
up.
fighting games. We're gonna go fuck off.
Yeah. But first, let's do some housekeeping, shall we?
Yeah,
If
we
you
gotta pimp
enjoyed
our shit.
if you we're gonna pimp our shit. If you enjoyed listening to us ramble about fighting games and want to hear us ramble about things in the future, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and comment on the video.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening on any of the other just boundless forms of distribution that we're on, iTunes, Google Play, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Spotify, subscribe on those platforms as
Mm-hmm.
well. Leave us any ratings or reviews there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Not
can
seriously.
follow, not seriously. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook to get updates on when we post things or any we'll call it business stuff
Yep,
that
those
we've
are
got
at
coming.
Protagonist seat respectively.
Oui. If you liked our sweet ass intro music, that was done by Popskyy, Popskyy. He's a
Link in the
cool dude.
description.
He makes some good chiptune music.
Check them out.
Yeah, I think that's about everything.
Yeah.
I did it. I did the sign off this week. I'm
You did,
happy.
because all I did was nod.
Yes. That's what I do.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
Mm.
All right. See you later.
Goodbye.